Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Surprise Saturday. Welcome to Surprise Saturday, guys. We are, just to kind of give you an idea, for those of you that are still coming on new to the Fun Life community, right? What is the Fun Life community? The Fun Life community is just simply a place where we encourage us grown folk to reactivate, and for some people to activate, because some of it's never been activated before. But we encourage you to reactivate that childlike faith that is inside of you to be able to come out and live out your childhood dreams in this playground we call life. And we started doing this social media live about 3 years ago. We had something called Transformation Tuesday. And then we started out with adding on that had to deal with your mindset. And then we started out doing what's called a Faith Your Fears Friday. And Faith Your Fears Friday was helping you with your belief system. And then I had a social media coach that challenged me back in October to go on live for 30 days straight to just see what would come of it, see what would happen. And sure enough, a lot came out of it. Matter of fact, that's why we are still going on here and doing what we're doing. The interesting thing that we have found out is that we have never had a chance to do this before, and now we've been able to create a community where people come and are encouraged, and they can take something and help the community, help their sphere of influence to be more, do more, and have more. And really, what's really cool about that is that it's all powered by the Zig Ziglar philosophy and the foundational program of Choose to Win, because everything in life is a choice, guys. And so today, my guest that is going to be on here, local author, speaker, transformational mindset coach. I'm so excited to bring him on. I'll bring him on here in just a second. But before I do, we are still in the early stages of the Mardi Gras Path fundraiser. And so I've put the link right up there. So if you guys would go on there, donate $25. We've gotten together with local real estate offices. They're going to be doing some gift card giveaways. We've gotten together with some photographers. They're going to be giving away a 15-minute mini session for your headshots. We've gotten together with some local restaurants. They're going to be giving away some food certificates to go to their places and eat. We've gotten together with local businesses. They're going to be giving away hats, jerseys, hoodies, t-shirts for your business, for your nonprofit. So get ready, guys. Go up there and donate, because every donation is going to give you an entry. The more you donate, the more entries you're going to get into winning some of these prizes. So again, the link is up there. Go on there and help me raise some money. And so today, I'm going to go ahead and bring on my guest, because I know you guys are tired of listening to me every single day. I can't wait for you to hear from my guy. Let me bring them on real quick, and then we will get this show started. All right, hang on. It's telling me we cannot add the guest. So if we are, it works best from your mobile phone. I'm not sure if you're on the desktop. I know with Tom Ziglar, he was trying to join from his desktop. Let me see here. Guys, this is just part of it. Let me see if I can resend that invite real fast to them. Alrighty. Your audience is set to public. Yep. Hey, did you guys know that? Really, if you join on here, I can invite you on to the broadcast. Anybody? So let me go on here, shoot it again. Unable to, come on, Facebook. Don't do this to me. All right, we're going to give him a second to jump on his mobile, and we're going to bring him on. But now that you guys have seen who it is, I got to tell you, I first came across Travis I think it was on LinkedIn. And then we went and we did he came to our Rotary Club. And when he was at the Rotary Club, he was able to share about his book. I love his book. Actually helped me a lot with some of the stuff that we went through growing up, because man, who doesn't have some sort of childhood trauma thing that's been keeping them from going forward, some limiting beliefs. And so I can't wait to bring him on and you hear it directly from him about what has been going on and how he got started and everything. Because really, when you think about it, a lot of people don't understand what a coach does or what a coach is. And so he's been able to write a book. He's been able to go out and influence and help other people transform their lives. And that's what we do. We do it through the Zig Ziglar Corporation of Choose to Win, and we show you how to transform your life one simple choice at a time. And I mean, who doesn't have bad habits, right? If you have bad habits, go ahead and put in the comment section, me. That should be everybody that watches this now live. Thank you all for joining us live. And then also thank you guys for watching this on the replay. Travis, I've sent that out to you. You should be able to see it. It says it's adding you. So bear with me. I'm not sure exactly what Facebook is doing. It says no answer from the live video guest. All right, let me go back on there and resend that to you. But seriously, whenever you think about it, a coach is somebody that helps you go and do that. Hey, there we go. A coach is somebody that goes on there and helps you get from where you are to where you want to get to. And so, Travis, thank you. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to to our Fun Life community. And I really want to, when I was talking to them about when we first met at the Rotary,
Yeah.
you got up and you spoke and you were talking about your book. At the book, it was one of the books that I like to read books, just start them, don't always finish them, right? I got a bookshelf full of stuff. I feel smarter for having them sometimes. But yours was one of the books that I literally read start to finish because every
Wow.
single thing was so impactful. Every single thing, every single chapter was very applicable. And so I got to thinking about that. I wonder how many other people have gone through the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you, Travis. Welcome. Thank you. Tell us who you are, what do you do, and then tell us a little bit about the book.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
I got you.
Okay. Sorry about those difficulties. I don't know what was happening, but anyway, I'm glad to be here.
Let me call you.
Yeah.
The audio's a little low. All right. Go ahead.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. Good deal. So yeah, I appreciate what you said about the book. That's been a lifelong goal of mine, I guess you could say, especially once I experienced some personal healing in my life, and I argued with God for about 5 years, but He held me to a promise on the side of a mountain in Tennessee that if you rescue me from my story, so to speak, and I'm sure we can talk a little bit about what I mean by that, but you can have it, and be careful what you promise the good Lord. Because he said, I wanted you to be two things. I want you to be vulnerable. I want you to be transparent. And wow, that was a hard journey. But I found that there's a lot of other people that deal with the same things I dealt with as far as that internal voice. Matter of fact, I think all of us do it sometime. And, that's just the journey I went on that became that book of how I found my way from the bondage I was in that I didn't even know I was in. To freedom and then healing and then the growth that I remain on today and that I feel blessed to be able to help others on that path.
Yeah. And talk about that a little bit because really there's a lot of people that have some form of trauma. We were talking about coaching and what it is and what it can you elaborate a little bit about the trauma that people have to face?
Yeah.
You can't just sweep it under the rug. You have to address. You have to. I guess I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: when I talk to clients and people and ask them, "Have you had trauma in your life?" Usually about 80% say no. And then when we talk about trauma a little bit, then it flips. About 80% say, well, I guess I have. Because here's the deal. Most of us think of trauma as barely escaping the Twin Towers falling. Or in the case of my story, once people know my story, childhood sexual abuse. But here's the deal about trauma. Trauma is much less about the events we experience and so much more about the story we write. So it can be a very small thing that becomes a precipitating event that sparks a thought. Like a lady I worked with in Los Angeles, We were trying to figure out why she was having so many struggles in life, not liking herself, failed relationships, extreme anxiety. And as we talked and do what I do, helping people unfold their story or raise awareness, that's step one when I work with clients. She was sitting there and she was going, I remember a time when I was 13 and I hadn't had this memory in 25 years that my dad came home from work and walked through the kitchen, and when he said hello to me, he turned around before he left the room and said, "You're getting fat." Now, that's bad enough for a 13-year-old to hear. But the thing is, as we uncovered this narrative, because she was thinking, how could I be in bondage for 25 years to my dad calling me fat one time? And here's the deal. The deal was what she said in her head at that time. And it took a little work, but she ultimately said, well, you're right, Papa, I'm fat and worthless. And that began a narrative that she carried with her through middle school, through high school, into adulthood. And she began what I call letting her story write her instead of her writing her story. And what happened is that internal narrative was born at that moment when she called herself worthless, but it was reinforced by her self-beliefs or by her limiting beliefs. And what that does is that rewires our core belief system. So she believed throughout her life, I can try to attempt this, but I'm really worthless. I can go to college, but I'm really worthless. I can get into this relationship and try to have a loving relationship, but I'm really worthless. And the longer it gets reinforced, the more we believe it. And all of us as humans think, feel, act, and live out of our core belief system. And when that gets hacked and we have these broken beliefs, and we're going through life thinking things are okay, but we're wondering why we continue to stumble, continue to struggle with anxiety or painful feelings or whatever, the core thing is we're operating out of this hacked belief system. And that happens to many of us, and it doesn't take huge events like sexual abuse and things like that. It can be little things that in the moment, especially as young people, we try to make sense of it. Well, I guess Papa called me fat because I'm worthless. And in the moment, it makes sense. And then we begin to write in that journal of belief. And that's what we carry with us until we uncover it. And it never will just go away. And that's the male culture, especially for us men. Just get over it. It's in the past. Don't worry about that. Quit whining. But the thing is, it becomes like a second operating system. If we equate our mind with a computer, it's like putting a PC operating system into a MacBook or vice versa. Things are just not going to work right. And we're not wired to operate out of those hacked, broken beliefs.
I heard you say at the book at, and you said that there's a couple words that men have a time, and one was help.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I wish I had a magic answer that made me sound real smart, but I've been doing what I do in various forms for over 20 years.
Wow.
But for a long time, and for a long time, I thought my superpower was my secret brokenness. I didn't let anybody know I was abused as a child. I didn't let anybody know I struggled with anxiety. I thought my superpower was helping other people in ways that I would never be able to be helped. So even me being a person that ever since I've been a believer, in some form or fashion, I've helped people. And then when I went to grad school and got a graduate degree, I've helped people. But then I realized one day, and you've read my book, at the very beginning of my book, I'm sitting there and the pain I'd held on to all my life that had become struggles in life, mistakes in life, mistakes in my marriage with my wife. And I'm transparent about that in the book because that's what I promised the good Lord. And people are going to think what they think, but I stand here on the redeemed side of all that. But it was hard for me. And I remember sitting in the coffee shop with that friend. And, if people listen to the audiobook, you can hear my voice shake even when I speak it on the healed side. And my sound engineer friend said, keep it in there and be authentic. I wanted to sound all professional. But it was so hard to sit there that day and realize, here you are living like you're living with the mind that the good Lord gave you, helping other people, and you can't say that word. But here's what all of us as humans need to realize, but especially us men need to turn up our volume on this. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a superpower. Now, if you're on the battlefield, I'm a military veteran. If you're on the battlefield, vulnerability will get you killed. If you're in the sports arena, vulnerability will lose the game. But in life, vulnerability is a superpower. To be real and authentic with yourself first, with the good Lord, and then with people in your life. And when you realize there's something that's handling you more than you're handling it, and for most of us, about 90% of that time, it's this internal voice. You know, if people come to me struggling with addictions, with relationship problems, marriage problems, anxiety, we always go back to the core narrative. And it's just so hard for us men. You know, we have this caveman mentality, you know, something in cave broke, me fix. You know, and that's just not the way it works. We were created to exist in community. The good Lord exists in community. We're created to be in community with people. Marriage is a small microcosm of an example of community. We're meant sometimes to need to utter the word help. And
Yeah.
and what I do is not magic. It's just if somebody comes to me and says help, I go first, you know what? I've been there. So I know what it took to get to this point. Secondly, what I do is not magic. The $30,000 education is not magic. What's magic is I'm another human being that's going to connect with you, but I'm not in the midst of your story. So I can make observations and ask questions that you won't think of. So I tell every person that comes with me, and this is the mantra in my book, you have all the answers. I'm going to help you locate them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you've read my book, that mantra in my book. You carry all the light you will ever need to illuminate all the darkness you will ever face. We all have it. It's just things in life get us disconnected with it. For me, when I was 6 years old and I met the man that would become my father, and I had been sexually abused one of the two times in my life. It happened again after my dad married my mom by a man in the neighborhood. But at that moment at 6, kind of like that girl with what her dad said that one time, I said, this man made my mom smile. And I think he could make us give us a happy life. I cannot tell him what has happened to me because he'll think I'm worthless and he'll leave us. That one event, and then as things happened in life and I struggled in childhood, struggled with being sexually abused again, that precipitating event became the core belief. And here's what I did for over half my life. I was good in school, but I constantly believed I was worthless. I got a college degree. I went to the military. I got married. But all of that was overshadowed, or I guess you could call undershadowed, because it was in my core belief system. Yeah, but she's going to find out you're worthless. Yeah, but your dad's going to realize you're worthless. Yeah, but these new friends are going to realize you're worthless. And that's what I operated out for over half my life until I was able to utter that word, help. And see, words are powerful. You know me well enough now to know that thing I tell people. Words create worlds. So the internal dialogue we carry will always, not almost always, and I'm not real big on terminal words like always and never, but the internal dialogue we carry will always guide our external direction. We may pretend for a while. We may get on a path that looks good, but we will always reach a stumbling point until we confront those hacked beliefs in our core belief system. Always. Unfortunately, they're like open tabs on a desktop. They don't just shut down by themselves. We have to actively go in and do the work, and that's what I do with clients and people that come to me, to close those tabs. And thankfully, there is a process. And one of the core things is learning from them. Instead of hiding, avoiding, carrying fear and shame and pain, when we go through the process of raising awareness to these things and then learning from them, something happens cognitively that the mind goes, oh, okay, I can close that tab.
Man, you literally dropped load of valuable information. You're right. Vulnerability. Uh, Something about being right. And if you think for 2023, for Webster's dictionary was authentic. And people are just so tired of fake. People are so tired of calling And that's what my coach was telling me. She's like, "Honey, just go live. Just go live. Don't worry about recording video. Don't worry about editing. Don't worry about it's just right. Go. Just do." And I love the mantra you said, that we already carry all the light we need to illuminate all the darkness we're ever going to face. And on Fridays, I had a, a, a platform where we talk about how we are going to help you face your fears. And a lot of the fears are the fear of the unknown, fear of things that are done, the fear of failure, the fear of success, fears that we're going. But when you have, whether it's a flash or a fire or a torch handle, and you're able to clearly, it gives you a certain level of confidence and a certain level of courage that you ordinarily wouldn't necessarily have. And so I love the other quote. I think it was Paul that said this: when your memory become more, I mean, when your vision becomes more powerful than your memory, the
Mm-hmm.
future will become more powerful than your past. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, because of that internal narrative, and we all have it. I tell people all the time, there's a little guy or girl in your mind that's constantly keeping a journal. It's the way the mind works. And unless we have some kind of psychosis or brain injury, we have our whole story written. Every thought, feeling, emotion we've ever had is written. And you and our story is being written right now. We're in this chapter. And what happens, and I know we throw around the term mindfulness a lot now, and it's becoming another one of those catchphrases, but mindfulness is where the power lies. Because the power to heal, the power to be free, the power to be the person that we're fully meant to be can only be achieved when we're experiencing mindfulness, aka being present with self. That's demystifying all the mystery of mindfulness. It's being present with yourself in the moment, right? And what a lot of us get caught up on is we wonder, why is my life so tough? Why am I having so many struggles? Why can't I get ahead? And what we realize when I work with people is they're either caught up in the woulda, coulda, shoulda of the past or the what if of the future. So they're not even confronting their future with anticipation and excitement. They're confronting it with what ifs. But guess what? Words create worlds, right? So every time we what if, the mind opens a tab and says, oh, okay, that must be important to you. And so it's like we're operating out of 6, 8, 10, 12 future realities while we're trying to navigate real reality, life, while we're carrying around this backpack full of rocks of woulda, coulda, shouldas. If I would have done this 10 years ago, if I could have accomplished that when I was younger, I should have done this when that happened to me. And you know what? When I first confronted my past and my pain, I did the same thing because it's what we do by human nature. And what happens, I mean, you and I, other than our eternal soul, we're limited. We all have 168 hours in a week. We all have a certain amount of mental, emotional, physical energy to give. And when we woulda, coulda, shoulda, and what if you converted that energy to dollar bills, it's like we're just throwing dollar bills out the window. And we wonder why we're not present enough to deal with the things in the moment. And it's because we're so past-minded or future-minded, but not in a positive planning way. Future-minded in fear, future-minded in wondering what's going to happen, and what if this, what if, what if, what if, what if. You know, when I was growing up, my dad used to always answer, because I what ifed the world, man. And my dad would always say, well, what if a frog had wings? He wouldn't bump his butt on the ground every time he jumped. And he said that humorously, but when I was about 20, I confronted him with that, and I'm like, Dad, what did you ever mean about that? And you know, he's a guy from Wascom, Texas with a high school diploma, but he's one of the wisest men I ever knew. And he turned around in the boat because we were fishing, and he goes, what do you think it means? And I said, well, it doesn't really make sense. And he turned around and looked at me again, and he goes, exactly. And it hit me. Constantly what-ifing our lives away doesn't make sense. The only place we learn from the past or embrace the future in a healthy way is right here, right now. And that's why a lot of people struggle. That's why we have relationship problems. That's why we struggle with anxiety. So many of our struggles are because we're not being present and authentic with self. And then realizing when there's something that we can't deal with, saying that word, help. I need help. I need somebody to walk with me. You know, if there's one thing, and I know you and I have this shared passion, if there's one thing we could do is demystify and get all of the worldly mindsets away from the idea of a person reaching out and getting help. You know, we don't judge people for going to the ortho doctor when he has a sore knee. We don't judge people for going to get help for their sniffles. But good Lord, the way we look at people when they say, I need help, it's terrible, and we've got to change that. We've got to flip that because we're all meant to operate in that way. We're created for that.
Yeah, and you know, truthfully, that's what I found out doing this experience and going live all day is that people want to say I need help, but they'll watch the video, and I wish I could share comments and the end that I all the people that hey I needed thank you so much for that today. That's what gives me the to just keep going. Just never know you're gonna be on it anyway. We'll give them something worthy to look at. I think Lauren commented on our post earlier. Social media gives us habits if we can add content. He's you're in the good side of the equation. So that's what we're doing here is people an avenue that they can reach out. If I can't help them, bizarre. I know people like I know other. My wife works at well. They do a lot of counseling. They do red light therapy. You know, matter of fact, broadcast today. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna send them bro. But you said something earlier about how we look at ourselves, and you know, one of the commandments they were asking, hey, Rabbi, hey, Master, what's the greatest command? Obviously, say Lord your God with all your strength, and then the second is like unto the love your neighbor yourself, and I challenge that because how can we love our neighbor if so many of us don't love ourselves and we're not in love with who we are or who we and that's what I was sharing yesterday here's Friday is that if your call purpose doesn't fit it isn't meant to fit who you are today but rather who you were created to become. And so that's one of the things about how this works is how can we help people be more, do more, and have so that they can serve more and give more. Take your eyes when you go and help somebody, all of a sudden something changes.
Yeah. Yeah, and that love your neighbor as yourself, what we miss on that, well, a lot of us miss that completely and just we judge who our neighbor is and we cast the other ones aside, but that's another story. But even those that love their neighbor well forget that you are a neighbor unto yourself. You know, the world around you can love you. If we did a scale of 1 to 10, the world around you, your spouse, your kids, or anybody else, could love you at a 9 or a 10. But if you love yourself at about a 3 or a 4, the rest of that's going to be wasted on you. Our minds will operate this way. We tend to not receive the amount of love any more than we love ourselves. And that's why so many people around other hurting people, where we're trying to love on them, we're trying to reach out to them, we're giving them everything we got, and it's not working because that person hates themselves. And every time I work with somebody like that and you uncover the narrative, the words are that they speak are what's holding them in prison. You know, I had a buddy that became a client, and he's a good friend now, and he was like, man, my life is good. Look at I make more money than most people. I got a good job. And why do I keep struggling? Why do I get almost to the mountaintop and then fall off? Or why as things go good? And I said, you know what? I've known you well enough, and you're not asking. He had not asking me for help yet at that point. And I said, but here's a little thing I noticed. I hang around with you a lot. And I hear you oftentimes when you mess something up or when you fall short of something. I'm such an idiot. I'm such an idiot. But and you know, he kind of looked at me. We started talking about it, and he goes, "You know, I've been doing that all my life." And I said, "Well, here's the deal. At some point, you believed it, and now you've got a great job, but you're constantly battling the truth that you're an idiot. You've got a great wife and kids, but it's going to topple at any time in your mind because they're all going to wake up one day and figure out he's such an idiot." And that's the most terrible way to live. You know why? Because I lived half my life achieving things and accomplishing things, but failing greatly. And sometimes those rhythms go month to month, week to week. Sometimes you go years and it seems okay, and then the wheels fall off again. And the deal was, in my own self confrontation, was at my age as an adult, all the way back to 6 years old, I realized I constantly achieved life and did life under the shadow that at any moment the whole world was going to declare me worthless and unlovable.
And that's tough because perception is, I understand what people say, but if you accept it, you said it perfectly earlier. You may not know. Tell this. I share this with my coaches, I mentor, is that we all have script. It may not be written down. It may not be on paper, but you have an internal script, a narrative. You have
Yeah.
to reword it. My social media coach how to simply verbiage in what I was doing and what I was presenting, able to help those people that were watching. And I kid you not, a little bit of a tweak helped
Oh yeah.
change the world. They changed the content. And that's how this was created. And I love being able to share your ideas, concepts, your experience, help other people get from where they are to where they want to get to. And it starts with rewriting. It starts with
Oh
re
yeah. Yeah.
changing that script. And you have the power, right? You have the pen. And don't let anybody else write this book.
Yeah. I say it all the time. We're either going to write our story or our story's going to write us. And sometimes you said those little tweaks. A lot of times when I'm working with clients with extreme anxiety or stress, we'll talk about little things that they go, well, that's such a small thing. How can that make a difference? And I say, well, do it for 30 days and come back and tell me how it made a difference. And one of them is the simple little thing of a person that has the constant mindset of, I got to get up to go to work tomorrow. I got to pay that bill next week. I got to do this. I got to do this. Instead of waking up and saying, you know what? I get to go to work today. I have the health to be able to get up to go to work today. I get to pay this bill today. I don't like it. None of us like to pay bills, but I have the wherewithal. I have the money. And just that little mindset, it takes down one of the walls that we put ourselves through, that we're always measuring ourselves to ever-changing parameters, and we're the one in control of those. It's like we're dangling a carrot in front of our own face. If you'll only do this, everything will get better. And it won't, because you have to go to the core. I mean, I hope this is not inappropriate, but you can polish a turd all day long and it's still a turd. So, and there's biblical things to that, that facade, whitewashed tombs, until we deal with what's in here and confront that internal narrative. We're constantly gonna repeat the things, because those open tabs, it's not because we're a bad person. We make mistakes because we've let ourselves plant core beliefs about ourselves, and we're operating out of those without even thinking. Now, that doesn't excuse poor behavior at all, but it's the answer to overcoming it. And I know people do this. They'll go get help somewhere, and they finally reach out, and somebody hands them a handout and says, well, if you'll do these 10 steps, you'll be fine. And I tell people all the time, I said, that's putting a better Band-Aid on a bleeding artery. But if we'll get into the narrative, we'll understand and figure out, how did we get this bleeding artery, and how do we stop the bleeding? And it always goes back to our narrative. I don't care if it's something last month, 6 months ago, when you were 13, like the girl in LA, somewhere a narrative was born, and we developed a core negative belief about ourselves that the good Lord didn't plant in us, and we wonder why we can't have those quote unquote fruits of the Spirit and hold on to them constantly. Well, it's because we have these demons, or in my book I called it my monster, that's constantly reminding us of these open tabs of experiences where we planted these negative narratives about ourselves or about the world. I'll never this, and here's the core ones. I'm not enough.
Oh,
I'm a failure.
that's a big one. Those.
I'm worthless. And people all the time will tell me, well, those are just words. I know I'm not that. And I'm like, well, here's the deal. When a person says, I want to change this bad, I want to stop this behavior, I want to do this thing, and I say, well, here's the humbling moment that you have to confront. You really don't. You've developed a comfort in your dysfunction. And I know, I did it. I had a comfort in my brokenness. I had a comfort in believing I was worthless and just living with it. Until the fear of the risk of change and moving forward overshadows the fear of staying where we are. I mean, the fear of staying where we are has to overshadow the fear of moving forward. Then change can happen. And we may not be able to do it by ourselves. I couldn't do it by myself. I flew all over the country to experts in childhood sexual abuse and confronting all the choices I'd made in life that weren't the path that the good Lord created for me, but were the path that I chose because of holding on to this brokenness. I said the word help, finally. For a quick moment, did I woulda, coulda, shoulda that? Man, if I'd have done that before I got into my marriage, if I'd have done that before I made that mistake. Well, of course, that's human nature. But here's the thing now, and my wife coaches a lot with me too now, even though she works out at Brook Hill. And sometimes that people that know us struggle with this, but she will tell people, I will tell people all the time, we are thankful for every experience we've had in our life, individually, and in our marriage, because it got us where we are today. Humanly, would we have liked to not deal with some of those largest boulders that entered our life? Yes. But because we confronted them instead of letting them write our story continuously, we took mastery over our story, and we took hold of the narrative, and we did that most powerful thing other than laying our feet at God's feet in the grace and mercy of the healing He gave us. But then secondly, in our own self, believing that every bad thing in life can be a lesson learned and can be something that grows us. A pile of cow manure can stay a pile of cow manure, or you can put it in the garden under some tomatoes and onions, and it becomes fertilizer and grows things. And that's the experiences in our life. We can keep living in a field of cow manure and wondering why life stinks, or we can say, you know what, I'm going to go say help to somebody that's going to help me turn that into fertilizer. And 98% of the things we struggle with, we could overcome. I see people with debilitating anxiety turn their life around when they master their internal narrative. I've seen marriages that are in shambles and at the doorstep of the lawyer that says, but we don't want this. And we break down those walls of the prison they built in their own core beliefs and turn things around. And I'm not saying I'm magic in being able to do that. The good Lord just gave me a path and gave me a process that has figured out that almost everything we struggle with in life, the core is this internal narrative.
Yeah.
Let's see here, other than the good Lord Himself, to me, the most powerful force in the universe is belief. But here's the thing. The brain, if you study, I've been a student of the brain for 20 years. If you study the brain processes all information the same. Good things or bad things. The brain doesn't go, oh, we're not going to hold on to that thought. It's bad. We have to make that conscious choice. So belief is the most powerful thing in the universe with good thoughts and experiences and memories, and it is equally as powerful with bad. That's both humbling and that's both freeing, because the journey to healing is about 18 inches. We just got to get this straight. We don't have to become Indiana Jones and go find the answer to our struggles, to our past pain, our trauma. It's right here. We just have to let others help us reconnect to that light we have and put the pieces together.
Absolutely. I love the people that are jumping on here, commenting. Judith, we've got Miss Peggy here, and Esmeralda just on there. Everything for a reason. Follow the mission with humble wise, and that's so true because if I mean the book that I read, and I know you says to speak of those things that are not as though they, and so our mind is like that. You go out and you plant the ground doesn't care if it's corn or if it's poison ivy. It's gonna return what you plant, good or bad. And
good. Yeah,
you have a choice. That's what this thing is all about. If you have, why not choose to replace that habit, that bad verbal, that verbiage that you have with a good one, and it just has to be little. Like talk about those little tweaks. So many people, and I'm sure you may. So many people are so close to a totally different life, and you 15 inches. They don't let it get from their head to their heart, and because once you throw your heart, like the high jumper, right? One guy he hit a. He said that asked him, "How did you do it?" Man, I threw my heart over the bar, and my body followed. And when you think about it, I coach agents of small business, and I tell them that valuable real estate on the planet. You talked about it earlier. 6 inches has been 2 years. 7 for some. No, but it's this real estate right here in your right. The greatest nation in the world is imagination. The worst the worst nation in the world is procrastinating. We keep putting off asking for help, and the longer we kick that can down the road, just stop. If
well,
you're if you're watching, whether you're watching live or on the replay, if you need help, reach out to Travis. I mean, Travis, how can
well, right here on my Facebook or on Instagram, Travis M. White Coach. Travis M. White Coach is my Instagram handle. I have a website, travismwhite.com, but it's in remodeling phase, so all of the information is old and antiquated. You can still contact me through there, but I'm rebranding completely because of some things the good Lord did in 2023 in me, and my business coach and my publisher friend, and so I'm owning who I truly am, and and people constantly say, "Aren't you the Firefly guy?" Well, I'm embracing that. I'm the guy that bumbled around in darkness for a long time, trying to hold on to a light that kept flickering, and because of good things, because of the grace of God, and because of my mistakes, I finally found that light. And so my passion for the rest of the days the good Lord gives me is to help people discover that light that's in them and then shine in a way that carries them on the path of whatever their purpose and meaning are.
yeah,
That's what we're all wired for. We're wired for purpose and meaning. We're wired to live encouraged, purpose, intentional, connected lives. And that's those 4 words I just said have deep meaning for me because it's a lot of things I'm building for 2024. That I'm calling your epic life story. And so everybody is wired to live this life, encouraged, purpose, intentional, and connected. And through that, find your purpose and meaning life. And it doesn't have to be what the world sees as purpose and meaning. One of the several people that made it in my book, whether by name or not, was the sanitation worker in North Tyler. And I've lived in Tyler for 25 years, and he's still on the top 10 list of one of the happiest men I've ever met. And he was living the secret sauce. He was an encouraged person, and he encouraged others. He lived purpose in dealing with people's trash in the poorest neighborhood in Tyler. He was very intentional with his mindset. I got a wife at home, a little old paid-off house. I get to bless these people with a smile and the whistle, because that's why I met him. I was on the other block, and I heard somebody whistling like they were in a Disney movie. And this guy was connected. He knew what his community was. By the world standard, nothing.
that's
But
great.
he's like George Bailey in that movie, It's a Wonderful Life. I said, you know what? You're one of the richest men I've ever met.
Amen.
And that's what it's all about. Now, if your path is to be this great entrepreneurial success and build companies, whatever, but do it in a way that you feel present with yourself and that you live this life where you're encouraged and you're purposed and you're intentional with your thoughts and actions and you're connected first to self and the good Lord and then to the world around you.
Yeah, we do a lot. We do a lot in our coaching because when you're grateful for what you have, it's only a matter of you'll have more before. And
Mm-hmm.
he sounds like he's right in his zone. Yeah, when you go back to right, Paul said that I've been down, I've been up, I've been down, I've been beat, but in all things I've a way to be content. And that sounds like that. And so no matter what right now, no matter what you're facing, always something good that you find. And if you go to that good, you know, bad things happen. I'm not gonna sit here and it rains on the just and the however, we can make a conscious to bring an umbrella so that the rain of life doesn't douse us. And that's what whenever you're reaching for help, that's what you're reaching out now for, because there's no reinvent the wheel. There's people that are doing what you want to do that have already done it. You just simply out and act. Travis, one last thing before we cut this thing out.
Yeah.
People are still coaching. They don't understand. They don't know. Coach should get a coach. What's your
I missed part of what you said, so what's my take
what's your
on?
what's your take on coach? A lot of people don't really understand. Fairly new to a lot of people, and they're just now starting to understand the value of having a mentor, of having a coach. Can you expand on that a little?
Yeah, I mean, coaches, counselors, mentors, consultants. I mean, a lot of people can get different levels of education. A lot of people can get a lot of letters behind their name. I've got a graduate degree in psychology. I've been several other things. The real thing is about making a connection with somebody, not with their degrees on their wall. I've got my master's degree hanging up, and I tell people most of the help that I have in my heart to give you, and not to discredit my own education because it gave me a mindset of how to think, and it was a path that I found my own freedom on was that learning about how the mind works. But coaching is just asking better questions, and yes, there's people out there, but there's people in every profession that has less experience and expertise than they come off. But then there's also people that seem simple and humble that have the wisdom of the world. So just follow your heart and make that connection. But coaching is similar in many ways to mentoring and counseling, and there's different levels of certifications and licensure. I mean, I got more training and certificates and licensure than I'll ever need. The thing is, I have a life story and I have an experience. And so, yes, my degree and my education and my post-grad work and anxiety and trauma comes to play, but it's really me as a person who's been on the battlefield and in the trenches and made the mistakes and will own them with you, because they're in a book. So I'm going to be honest with you. If my story applies to yours, I'm going to say, look, I've been there and here's what happened. So it's really about finding a person that makes the connection with you and your story and ask those questions that when you're real with yourself, hey, that stirs something in me. And I tell people that's the secret sauce. It's not just all the education and everything to the person you go see. It's really, do they have the empathy and the connection to you as another human being to ask those better questions that's going to light the path,
Yeah,
and that's what it's all about. I love when people trust me with their story. I love walking that chapter of their journey with them. But if you find anybody, the thing is just find somebody and say help.
yeah,
And I want to help more people than I can humanly help. That's why in 2024 I'm going to try to create some passive things, courses, mini courses. I've got a membership community I'm just launching. I'm going to pour as many resources as I can into that. So it's what I call low-hanging fruit for people. You don't have to pay my rate to see me face to face. You can pay $20 a month and get this much help. It's just starting somewhere, you know. Open the door to receiving help, and sometimes it's not just help for past trauma and painful experiences. Sometimes I've got 2 or 3 clients that I've been seeing for years. We dealt with their stuff a long time ago. You know, one of them's an old man, and he calls me every now and then. You got time this week to talk? Yeah, and he calls it his checkup from the neck
Oh,
up.
love it.
So we worked together. He was in extreme bondage when we worked together like 6 years ago. And now he just calls every now and then because we have a relationship now where I'll challenge things with him. I'll challenge choices and I'll ask questions. And he'll go, oh, I never thought about that. Or, yeah, I've been thinking about that. And now you didn't even know what I was dealing with. And you asked that question. So I see where I need to go now. You know, so it's just inviting someone on your path that's going to have a heart to want to connect with you and to help you reach your limitless potential.
Wow.
You know.
Yeah, do this all day, man. I love it. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on here. I like to bring people that can add value to my community, to that I know are influence, sphere of influence, intersect new people that are now finding out about they reach out to that
Yeah.
if anything that resonated with them can reach out now where they couldn't ask me to do it. That's when you operate out of a mindset of there's enough to go around for everybody. And honestly, there's so many people that need help. We just need to find a small percentage of those help and just go ahead. Go Grand Canyon deep. Travis, just to give us a little view behind the curtain. I call this just for lack of a better, a barrage of questions. What
Yeah.
what's your favorite kind of food?
Favorite kind of food. Some people call it home cooking. I'd say Southern.
Oh,
Greens and cornbread and purple hull peas.
awesome, man. Favorite dessert?
Favorite dessert. I'm not big on dessert, but I love dark chocolate because I'm a big health nut.
Ah, gotcha. What about their favorite got
Favorite
ice
what?
cream?
Favorite ice cream. When I eat it, it's gonna be vanilla.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
gotcha. What's one of your favorite
Favorite what?
books?
Favorite books. Woo. Well, I do love the Bible. Um, I love a book, an old book by Ernest Hemingway called A Movable Feast. I tell people it's one of his books he wrote before he became an angry drunk. And it's a semi-autobiographical fiction, but what it did was it awakened me to the power of words because when you read it, it's him in 1920s Paris when he was poor and struggling with F. Scott Fitzgerald and a lot of other authors, but the way he shares the words, you feel like you're in France. You feel like you're in the cafe. And the story may not connect to people much, but it connects to the power of words. And then another one, and it's a book and a movie I recommend many of my clients. It started as a children's book. It's called A Monster Calls. And I like the movie more than the book. And I prescribe the movie to a lot of clients because it helps them see a fictional rendering of the power of that internal narrative. So almost every one of the clients that I work with that have extreme trauma or extreme internal narrative struggles, that's a prescriptive thing early in our process of watching that movie, A Monster Calls, and
Monster.
seeing Connor O'Malley, the little boy in there, seeing his struggle with that internal narrative and those hacked beliefs about himself. So
Wow.
that's 2 of them. I've got a whole shelf of many others, but we could talk for days.
Okay, well, hey, thank you guys for jumping on here. I am wrap this up. I'm gonna definitely upload this to YouTube. I'm gonna upload it so you can kind of take it and do whatever
Great.
you want to purpose it. So thank you so much, Travis, for being here, and I will definitely be in touch with you, collaborate, and do some more work here
That
going.
sounds good. And hey, thanks for thinking about me and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. My pleasure.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Guys, how awesome was that? How awesome was that? Travis nailed it. Travis when you understand how the brain works, when you understand how this thing right here, right, those 6 inches between your ears operates. And he says he's been doing the mindset work. He's been doing a lot of, reach out to him. You know, if you don't need me, if I can't help you, it's okay. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. I'll be a little sad about it, but it's okay. I just want you to get the help that you guys need. So anyway, again, this is all brought to you guys by the Zig Ziglar philosophy of you can have. You really can, guys. You you can have everything in life you want if you're just willing to help enough other people get what they want. So I've got one more slot. I try to coach no more than about 4 or 5 people during a quarter, and so I've got one more slot. If any of this resonated with you and you want to come on and be a cool kid in the Fun Life community where we are reactivating our childhood faith, our childlike faith, to live out our childhood dreams in this playground we call life, I want to invite you. Go to johnnywan.com and just go to the option where it says book a call and go to my Calendly. We've got some slots available that you can go in there and book a call and see if that's something. Now, if it's a 15, 30-minute phone call, those are free. No big deal. If you want to sit down and do a full-blown hour strategy coaching session, we ran a special at the first of the year through Black Friday for $99. They're back up to $150, but you get so much in that 1 hour that you will literally walk away with a game plan for your life. And it's worth the $150. I got two of those time slots available. Reach out to me, see how I can help out. And again, right now we're still slap dab in the middle of this Mardi Gras fundraiser. You've got that link at the very top of the post. Go down there and donate 25 bucks. We're going to be giving away some great stuff, some great gift cards, some great restaurants you're going to be able to go out and eat. And for 25 bucks, you can probably get 50 bucks out of it. And then we're going to be giving away some great stuff for our business owners. So thank you guys so much for joining us. I appreciate you guys. Love y'all. Have a phenomenal rest of your Saturday, rest of your weekend. We will see you guys back here Monday morning, 8 o'clock, Monday Motivational Monday, TGIM. Thank God it's Monday. Go have a phenomenal weekend. Adios.